Hi all, welcome back to the video series of measurements and instrumentations. So in the previous video we have seen about the methods of measurements. So in the present video we will be discussing about how these instruments are evolved. So let's have a quick glance about the evolution of instruments. So basically, we can classify the measuring instruments into three types: mechanical instruments, electrical instruments, and electronic instruments. So I can say it as the evolution of instruments, or I can say it as classification of instruments. So the prefixes to the unit names and unit symbols that may be used when specifying multiples and fractions of the units. So these systems were published in 1960 as a result of an initiative that began in 1948. So it is based on the meter kilogram second system of units, which is nothing but the MKS. So rather than any variant of centimeter gram second system, which is nothing but CGS. So in previous cases we have CGS systems, but later, because of certain developments in 1960s, the system was changed from CGS to MKS. So these paved way for more measuring instruments. So we have three types of measuring instruments: mechanical, electrical, and electronic instruments. So let's see one by one in a very brief manner. First, let's see what is meant by mechanical instruments. As the name implies, these are mechanical in nature, so they have moving parts, no electrical connections, etc. So these instruments are very reliable for static and stable conditions. But the disadvantage is that they are unable to respond to rapid changes in the quantity to be measured. For example, if the value or the quantity measurement is changing rapidly, this mechanical device will not provide a corresponding output to the changes in the input very rapid manner. So hence they are not dynamic in nature, and the transient conditions in the input cannot be reflected or these instruments are unable to reproduce the transient conditions in the input in the output. So that is the drawback of mechanical instruments. Basically, these mechanical instruments are the godfather for all the measuring instruments which we are using now. So the good example for this mechanical instrument is the vernier caliper, which is a mechanical measuring device for measuring the length parameters. Then we have electrical instruments. So in order to overcome the drawback in the mechanical instruments, that is, since the mechanical instruments are lagging in responding to the rapid changes in the input, or which I can say it as it lacks the dynamic property, we are moving to the electrical instruments. Electrical instruments are faster than mechanical instruments, and they indicate the output very rapidly than the mechanical methods. But it also has a drawback. It depends on the mechanical movement of the meters. Electrical instruments are an advanced version of mechanical instruments, so it also have mechanical moving parts with some electrical connections. Hence, the mechanical moving of the meters plays a predominant role in the measurements. So these faster responses are restricted because of the mechanical movements of the meter. So the response range or the output response of these electrical meters are 0.5 to 24 seconds. So even a second matters more in measuring an electrical quantity. So these second variations in the response from the input to the output causes a major change in our analysis purpose. So this is the drawback for electrical instruments. So in order to overcome this drawback of the electrical instrument, we are switching to the electronic instruments. So the electronic instruments are highly reliable than any other systems. It is because of the usage of semiconductor devices. Due to the advancement in semiconductor devices, many instruments, many measuring instruments are being developed or had been developed, and these instruments provide accurate results with accurate responses. The dynamic variations in the input are being replicated in the output in a very faster manner compared to other devices like electrical and mechanical instruments. And also it detects even a very weak signal in the systems, so it becomes more reliable. So any weak signals is being neglected in an electrical system, but these electronic equipments senses all sort of signals. It can be weak or very strong signal. Everything can be sensed, and it can be processed and measured using an electronic measuring instruments. So let's see what are the examples for electrical measuring instruments. As we've already seen the example from mechanical instruments, which is a vernier caliper. The electrical measuring instruments are the deflecting type ammeter, voltmeter, etc. are a good example for electrical instruments. So these electrical instruments, we have mechanical moving parts. So as we have already seen in our laboratory itself, while doing experiments, we could not get 100% accurate results using these meters, because the faster the dynamic changes in the input cannot be replicated in the output or these measuring instruments because of the mechanical movements. For example, if there is a sudden voltage spike in the input, then the voltmeter will get stuck. It happens usually, then we have to shake the meters and all. So this is a drawback of electrical measuring instrument. Whereas a good example for electronic instrument is a CRO, a cathode ray oscilloscope. So it is capable of following the dynamic and transient changes in the input side, and the order of the response is few nanoseconds. Electrical instruments have 0.5 to 24 seconds. The difference in getting the response with respect to the dynamic changes in the input is 0.5 to 24 seconds, whereas for electronic instruments it is of the order few nanoseconds. Then see how fast these electronic measuring instruments are responding to the variations in the input. Hence we are using these electronic instruments in a more higher manner. So a good example for an electronic measuring instrument is CRO. And due to the technical advancements, we have these electronic instruments with recorders and all. So we can easily retrieve or we can play back the previous readings using these recording systems. So which is very useful for doing analysis with the previous set of, or you can say as a series of observations. So we are using electronic instruments in a very wider manner. So in this video we have seen a short clip of the evolution of instruments, or I can say the classification of measuring instruments. Hope you find this video useful. We will be meeting you in a next video with a continuation of this topic. Thank you.